Yeah, probably wondering why I'm fighting a fat king or emperor penguin instead of, the darkness of darkness. Well, Skyward Sword was predictably taking too long to beat and review, so I kind of figured this may happen since I'm not familiar with Skyward Sword. I figured I'd take a small amount of time and get one of my easier games off my list first. And here we are. When looking at a quick and easy on my to-do list for Season 3, Kirby's Dream Land rose quickly to the top of that list. So, Kirby's development is full of interesting things to talk about. Probably the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is the box art. Here in the States, it has Kirby as being completely white. Sakurai and Miyamoto, the creator of Kirby and a big name in Nintendo respectively, couldn't decide on a color. Sakurai wanted pink, while Miyamoto wanted yellow. The debate went on so long, Nintendo of America made the choice that because Kirby looks white on the Game Boy screen, to just color him in that way until later. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, pink won out, with yellow often being a secondary color in multiplayer games with Kirby in it. As for me, I never actually owned a Game Boy, so I didn't play this game until it was released on the Wii for the collection that came with Kirby's anniversary. Actually, because of this collection, I ended up playing this game twice. Once for the heck of it, and once for a Let's Play that lasted a little over a half hour. It was perfect since I had need for a game that was short, sweet, and, to the point. I needed something that didn't take too long from distracting me from Skyward Sword. It's a win-win playing this here. So let's get this started. Let's beat up the only character I know Sakurai actually voices in Smash Brothers. Let's take on King Dedede! So before we begin, let me tell you that this game is absolutely super short. By the time I'm done talking about this, hypothetically, you have already beaten the game, it's so short. So, you have to imagine the story is pretty simple too. King Dedede, being more big than bird, steals all the food from the people of Dreamland. So Kirby needs to go save the day. But this does bring up a lot of questions, like what is Dedede a king of? Aren't these his people? Is he just being a butt? It's hard to say. For a game that is built as baby's first platformer, though, it's nice to see something original. You're not saving a princess or a land, you're saving food. How appropriate for Kirby, anyway. While the concept is incredibly simple being the word of the day, it's still cute and fun, just like Kirby himself. So, speaking of Kirby, he was designed in a very interesting way. Sakurai drew a ball as a placeholder and eventually liked the design so much that he kept Kirby in as the main character, as a little ball. Kirby is super easy to draw, which is probably part of the reason. With that, Kirby is given a very simple personality. Wait, did you see what I say there? Personality. Kirby, despite being on an 8-bit portable console, is given personality. He dances and does goofy things between each level. It's cute and brings a lot of charm to the game. King Dedede makes faces as well, and so does Wispy Woods. This is great. This game absolutely has charm and plenty of personality. And this is honestly fantastic for a Game Boy game. All the characters are cute and cuddly, silly, or spooky. For a first time seeing classic characters, this is a fantastic startup. However, there are two boss fights we don't see too often after this. While we see Kracko again for sure, Lololo and Lalala, despite them looking like they're from Clue Land, doesn't seem to resurface too often, not counting the anime. This blimp boss doesn't show up much either. Still, the entire game is super charming, and the great characters, even if the characters don't have dialogue, are fantastic. They're so well designed, it's ridiculous. But moving right along, does the gameplay match up with all of this cute and charming design? So, talking about the gameplay, we're going to keep the word simple around a lot. Kirby jumps. He can inhale enemies. He spits them out as projectiles. He can fly. That's about it. If you're thinking he's going to use the powers of his devoured foes, you're actually quite wrong. Kirby didn't gain the power until his second game, Kirby's Adventure. No, instead Kirby just inhales his foes and uses them like ammo, or he can eat them to get rid of them. He can kinda hop on enemies' heads too, which is useful for when you're falling down long drops. When you are flying, you can't inhale victims, but you can let out a burst of air as an attack. There are some super hot curry type items as well. They function mostly as power-ups. Yeah, that curry stuff in Smash Brothers isn't just randomly there. It's actually from Kirby's Dream Land. Kirby spits fire when he eats these and basically becomes a machine gun. He does that when flying as well, including a boss fight. Yeah. Luckily for that instance, the power-up doesn't run out until the boss fight is over. It's simple to think you can actually fly over pretty much everything. I mean, what kind of character can just straight up fly whenever he wants to? But keep in mind, the levels are actually designed around this concept. You know, speaking of levels, for a Game Boy game, these levels look great. They all look unique and distinct, so if the good music doesn't clue you into which level you're on, the settings probably will. Each location is pretty unique, and the enemies at each location are pretty nice too. They do kind of change up with where you're at. You also gradually meet new threats that do different things versus previous enemies. Again, none of this is too difficult for a seasoned gamer, but the game does go up in difficulty the further you go in. It has a nice and gentle difficulty curve, to say the least. The boss fights are fun to fight. Basically, you have Wispy Woods, who you dodge until you can shoot apples at them, Lololo and Lalala, who push blocks at you, and you need to defeat them using their blocks, so basically you need to kind of grab the block and then jump back up, or grab the block, shoot it at them, and then dodge them, because if not, you're taking damage. Kabula, the blimp, throws you into a bullet hell. Krako is slightly unpredictable and drops enemies that you can shoot at him. And finally, King Dedede himself has attacks that briefly drop stars that you can shoot back at him. But you have to be quick and somewhat close to him, or these stars straight up disappear right away. All these boss fights are different, and there are a few mini-bosses to face off with as well. This is all very fun to beat and makes each level pretty memorable. So you're probably thinking by this point in time, Sauron, the game is totally short. Yeah, that's not good. It's totally easy too, what the heck? Well, there is a secret that kind of mitigates this quite a bit. It has one secret to it. When you beat the game, you get a cheat code for hard mode. I haven't gotten into hard mode all that much, but I hear the enemies are stronger and faster, and you only get 3 points of life. Don't like easy games? If you ever get this game, just try out hard mode. While not my thing, I'm sure plenty of Kirby fans absolutely love this. Speaking of loved, I actually kinda love this game. If I were to rate this game, I'd say it is pretty great. Not super fantastic or near perfect, but pretty decent nonetheless. It is a charming, easy to come into game that I think plenty of newcomers would enjoy. I'd probably actually give this game an 8 out of 10 personally. While I love the charm and the levels, the story doesn't hold up to later Kirby games, and the difficulty does kind of hurt it a bit in level design, since there's honestly not that much difficulty to even talk about. And as for there only being a harder mode keeping you coming back, it's certainly not my thing. This game is great for newcomers to platformers, and it is a fantastic portable game. But you know what else is? Mario Land and Mario Land 2. Keep this game portable. On a home console like what I'm playing on, it loses a lot of charm. And I'd still like to point out that while Mario Land and Kirby's Dream Land are both great portable games, in platformers on the Game Boy, Mario Land 2 still reigns king. Other than a huge difficulty spike at the end of the game, it's also great for newcomers and veterans alike, doing everything Kirby's Dream Land does, and more. Maybe the next Kirby game can notch it up a bit more. We will see. Next time, however, my reviews are starting up on Legend of Zelda series with Skyward Sword, which I'd already promised. Oops. Oh well. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe, comment. All of that really helps the channel grow. Here are a video or two of mine that YouTube seems to think you'd like to see. But as for now, bye-bye.